Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, let's do a hands-on with Amazon App Runner. So what we're going to try to do is we will try to host a Node.js application that developers have written and they've committed to GitHub, right? They've stored the source code into GitHub. Okay. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So here I am in my AWS console. First things first, let's create the database again. And I know many of you should be very comfortable doing this now, right? How many times have we created a database in this course? So we're going to pretty much just create the same database, a MySQL database. We'll take the credentials of the database and we'll put it in the Node.js application. All right, so let's go ahead now and go to RDS first. Let's create the database for the application. So go ahead and click on RDS. And now let's go ahead and click on databases here on the left. And let's go ahead and click on create database. And now we're going to choose standard create, MySQL, leave everything else as default, choose free tier here. Let's call this Node database. Maybe put APR. No, let's just leave Node database. It's the database for App Runner. For this App Runner demo. So just leave Node database. Okay, so username, admin. I'm just gonna do what I've done before, testing 1 2 3. So admin, username, and then password. Testing 1 2 3. Password. Testing 1 2 3. Leave the database instance as T3 micro. General purpose 20 gig. Again, I'm not gonna enable storage auto scaling. I'm not gonna need more than 20 for this lab, so we're fine. Connectivity, we're not gonna connect to an EC2 instance. We're gonna do that later. We're gonna log into our MySQL like we did before, and create the initial database. But we don't need to do this now. Okay. We don't need to do this now. What else? VPC. Yes, default VPC is what we want to use. Subnet group, the one that comes with default VPC. But for here, let's change it to public access. Remember, we're securing it with our security group. So yes, now we can do yes for public access. And if you're not part of our web server group that allows the database, you're not gonna be able to talk to it. For existing VPC security group, we're gonna remove this. Okay, and we're gonna choose, actually for this lab, here's one thing I want you all to know. Because for App Runner, we're not going to use VPC, right? We're not gonna use VPC setup when we are creating the App Runner. We need to make this database actually open to the world, okay? And that's fine for this lab, okay? That's fine for this lab. App Runner didn't used to have the ability for you to create, for you to use your VPC when setting it up, right? So in that case, you had to like open your database, and then later on they allowed you the ability to, connect it with a VPC, right? I think I just said database, but VPC, right? So now you see, I don't want you all to get confused at all. When we get to the App Runner setup, you're going to see a part of that setup that says, do you want to use a VPC? So that way the communication between App Runner and your database will be secure, right? Will be secure in the sense that you're not going to have to open your database to 0.0.0, because that's how App Runner first operated when it came out. right? But that's what we're gonna use just for testing purposes, okay? Because going the VPC route, I haven't really played that with that myself. So again, I just want to finish this course for now, and as updates, I'll probably do, you know, maybe an advanced video showing you how to use it with the VPC. So what we're gonna do here is we're actually gonna leave the VPC security group to the default. Okay, we're gonna leave it to the default. Okay, meaning the database is using a security group that's open to the world. I know some of you might be like, well, that's not secure though, but that's fine. Okay, for this lab, okay, that's fine for now. It's not like a sensitive application that we're building, right? So just for the demo purpose, just to show you guys how this app runner works and makes it easy, just choose default in this case. Availability zone, no preference in this case, because app runner will be able to talk to it in whatever AZ it is. RDS proxy, so leave everything else as, don't worry about everything else here. Actually, for availability zone, let's just choose 1A. Okay, it doesn't really matter, but since we've been keeping everything in this labs, Northern Virginia and 1A, let's just do 1A as well. Additional configuration, nothing. Database authentication option, just leave what we have already with the admin and testing 1, 2, 3. Remember when I put a username and password here, okay, admin and testing 1, 2, 3. You all can use that as well, but you know, feel free to use something else. You don't, just letting you, I hope you all know that already. You don't have to use what I'm using, all right, for my username and password. Okay, all right, where did we stop? All right, existing VPC security group default availability zone 1A, and yeah, everything else you just leave as is, and then click on create database. Okay, and one thing I want to make sure, I'm going to open a new tab. So cancel this, just close that notification. I'm going to open a new tab. I want to make sure that my default security group allows everything to go. So if I go to VPC, so I have VPC here, let me go to VPC. If you're looking for VPC or any other service, remember you can just always search at the top there. All right, so I want to look at my security group. I want to look at the default security group that we just chose for our database. So where is it? Default. So default that came with the account, which is going to be this one. Okay, so default security group, this is what we've chosen for our database, and we can confirm in RDS as well. So 25F, right? So let's look at the security group and look at the edit inbound rules. Okay, all traffic to itself. Okay, so this is good. Custom is allowing all traffic to itself. So no. So we need to add this. So let's go ahead and click on add rule here, and then go ahead and choose all traffic. Actually, what if we do MySQL only? Because if app runners, if the instances created by app runner needs to talk to the database, right? It'll want to do it on the port of MySQL, so 3006. So I haven't had, let's try it this way, okay? Also this way, I want to bring, I want to mention something here. If you know exactly what port you need to allow, right, to talk to your database or maybe to talk to some other application, if you know the exact port, as a security measure, it's better to just open that port, right? So as opposed to me doing here all traffic, you know, from the world to my database, I can just do it only to MySQL. So if you scroll here, MySQL Aurora right here, I can just open this port that I know that you need to use to talk to the database. So that's what we're going to do here. And then source here, unfortunately for this testing, it's going to be the world. Okay, it's going to be the world. All right, so click on save rules, and then let's go back to RDS. So the database is creating. Let me just check again. I'm just going to click on it. Let me look at the security group. So yeah, so we are using that database, the security group we just updated. So 25F. All right, so that's good. Of course, this security group ID is going to be something different in your own account. I hope by now you all know that, right? All right, what else do we need here? So we just have to wait for it. In the meantime, we can go and update the code, right? So if let me open this. Let me open my where is it? My folder. Okay. Let me open my folder. So here, if I go into the course files, here, so I'm inside of my course files. So open your demo codes and then go to where is it? What are we looking for again? Our Node soccer. Yeah, so this one, Node MySQL soccer code. Let's open that, and then let's open the app.js, or let's just open everything with VS Code. I think I had my VS Code open for something that I was working on yesterday. I'm just gonna close this. Close terminal. Just give me a few seconds, guys. All right, so let me just show more options here, and then open. Where is it? Open with code. So I'm opening this folder with code, meaning VS Code, right? So this is the source code, right, for the application, and then here we put in the new credentials, right, for the database. Let me minimize this, or let me push it to the side, and then push it to the right side. So I have. All right. So everybody, make sure you edit this. We've done this before. Remember when we hosted this with EC2 and RDS earlier? So we're pretty much just doing the same thing. Let's open the app.js file, and then just make sure you put your new endpoint. So my username and password is the same, so I don't need to change username and password. So I just need to change this endpoint. So let me go ahead now and select my end. It's already populated for me, so I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to just paste it there. So Node database. All right, so I'm just going to Control S. Okay, Control S, save that, and yeah, that's all. Now I can close it. I don't think I need it anymore. All right, so that's good. All right, and the next thing we want to do now, let me minimize this, bring this back up. The next thing we want to do now is, let me go back to databases and see if it's okay. Now it's backing up. I'm going to pause and wait till it's ready. Okay, so my own database is now available. All right, now the next thing I want us to do is, so I hope you guys did what I asked in the previous video, to go ahead and open a GitHub account. If you're struggling with how to create a GitHub account, Google, YouTube, and figure it out. But it's pretty easy to do, and I hope that was very easy for all of you to do, to create a GitHub account and have your and be logged into your GitHub. Okay, now I want you all to go in and log in. Okay, so I'm logged in. You have to be logged in, because we need this in order to make this demo work out well for all of us. Okay, so make sure you are logged in. Refresh your page, your GitHub page, and make sure you're not timed out or anything like that. So log in and stay logged in. So now once you're logged in, what we want to do now is, now again, remember, this is where we're going to store our code, and developers can check out code, make updates, and submit code, and a senior developer would look at it and make sure it's okay before we put it back into, like, the main production code, right? So again, GitHub, I know we talked about it in the last video. It's like think of it as a collaboration tool, right, for all of us developers, for those that are developers, to be able to come and contribute to code and build a very a very good application for whatever client or maybe the company. All right, so now what we need to do is we're going to create a new repository. Okay, so think of repository as, this is the folder that is going to hold the code, all of the files that we have on our computer that we just made changes to. So all of those files that make up the website, we want to create a folder again, but we don't call it folder in GitHub. You call it a repository. Okay, so we're going to create a repository, right? Again, think folder, that's gonna hold all of this code. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and do that. Some of you might not see new here. You might see another word like create or something like that. If this doesn't work for you, or if you see something different, I think it should work the same. Okay. I hope you all are seeing new, but if you don't see new, if you see something like create, it's still the same thing. So I'm gonna click on create new here. I'm gonna click on new here, but let me go back and show you something else. I can do it another way. I can click this plus sign and also click new repository. Okay, so if that works for you, then that's fine. All right, so let's call this repository name, this folder. Okay, but remember, we call it repository. Let's call it Node DB app. Okay, let's call it Node. Oh no, let's say Node MySQL app. It doesn't really matter, but all right. So let's call it Node MySQL app. Okay. Description is optional. You can just copy the same thing and just put it there. Okay. So anyone here, we're gonna leave it as public. Anyone on the internet can see this repository. You choose who can commit. Okay. That means commit. You hear this word a lot as well. You choose who can, add to this code repository, right? So maybe it's an application that you open sourced, right? So anybody can try to, add new features to it and update it and all that. And then this is probably what, if you're within a company, you probably keep it private, right? Outsiders should not be able to see this code, right? This code, think of it as IP, right? Intellectual property, right? So in most cases, you probably have it private, right? Unless you have an application that you're building that you want the whole world to be able to use freely, right? So we're gonna keep public in our case, and then we're not gonna do any of this add readme or git ignore. Again, I know I said I will share links to GitHub, Docker, and Terraform that you all should find some time. These courses are like 5 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours. So after you're done with this course, this AWS section of the course bundle, again, please really find some time to watch those videos and try to get good on those topics as well, right? It will like make your chances of getting a job like really, really high. And be patient when you're watching those videos. Okay. Again, I know I keep pausing at some point and giving you all this advice. Don't rush. Okay, take the time to learn Git and GitHub. With those videos I send you, take time to learn Docker, take the time to learn Terraform. I don't know, I may just do my own. For those of you that love how I teach, and you just want me to do something in this, I'm really thinking about it as well, right? As opposed to sharing those YouTube videos, how about I just create it and explain it the way I understand it, right? So I'm not promising, but maybe as part of, if I have some time, I'll be able to do that as well. But for now, take those videos, take advantage of those videos and watch them. And if you're able to add those to your resume, you'd be a solid candidate. Okay, you'd be a solid candidate. You don't have to watch the videos once, watch it twice or 3 times. The 4th time could be like when you actually then start to like, get it, right? So don't think you have to watch it once and then, that's it. You didn't quite understand and that's it. No. Watch it again. I do that all of the time. Okay. I remember this professional level certifications you see me have. Again, it came with a lot of repetition, right? The goal is not to give up, right? Remember that great video I always share with all of you, that 6-minute great YouTube video. So make sure you watch that, right? Just to something to help you stay motivated. All right, I know you guys just want me to continue, so let's do that. Okay, let's continue. So public. One last thing, right? Again, as you're watching this course, you're trying to get through it, and those additional resources I share with you. One thing I always tell students is, at least, give yourself up to 6 months. Right? Don't try to finish everything in 1 month and go looking for a job. 6 months, even to a year. I may have mentioned this before, right? To take time to really learn all of these things and get a job that you're comfortable and confident in, taking on. Right? Okay, I'm getting a job as a cloud engineer, but I'm comfortable because I did learn the tools. I gave myself the time to really learn the tools and know them well. All right. Sorry guys, enough. All right, I know, let's continue. So let's go ahead and create repository. Okay, so create repository. All right, so now we've created that repository. Now there's different ways you can add your code into this repository. Okay, but we're going to keep it very simple, right? We're just going to use upload an existing file. All right, so let's go ahead and click on this. Okay, and then it says drag files here to add them to your repository. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So let me open the folder. So this is the files, right, to the code. So developers have written the code, and now let's say they're the same people that are putting it in the GitHub repository. So I'm just gonna select all, and I'm just gonna drag it like that. Okay, so that's it. It's uploaded, and then I can say, yeah. So for commit changes, I can just say uploaded code to repo. Okay, and I'm just gonna do the same thing for that. All right, so let's go ahead now and commit changes. Okay, so now it's processing the files. This may take a few minutes. I'm just gonna pause real quick. All right, so it's there now. Now let's just click on the home page right here on the top left, and then if you look, you can see that you have a folder, a repo, right? You have now a repo. So let's say this is a specific application that your company is building for a client, or maybe this is a specific application that's internal, right, to the company you're working in. So imagine that the developers write the code and they submit it and they put it in GitHub. So this is the folder that contains all of the files that make up the application. So let's click on it and open it again, and we just see all of the code is in here now. So that's that. Let's leave that now and go to MySQL Workbench. Okay, we could have done this before doing this, but it doesn't matter in this case. What I want us to do now is, before we actually deploy the application, let's make sure that the database exists inside of the RDS database instance that we just created. Okay, so don't forget, with RDS we created a database instance that's managed by AWS. Now we need, in that database instance that's created, we need to create the database that the application will submit information to, right? So let me go ahead now, and we're going to use MySQL Workbench just like we did before. So let's go ahead and let me go back to my RDS and then open the database that we just created, the database instance that we just created. And then I'll need this, and then I'll need my username and password. So let me open MySQL Workbench now. MySQL Workbench, so there. All right, so opening MySQL Workbench, and here it is. Some of you might see a connection here from before. You can right click and delete it. I already deleted mine. So let's go ahead and create a new connection. Okay, create a new connection. Connection name, let's go ahead and call that, where is it? Let's just call it NodeDB. It's fine, it could be anything. And then host name, remember what we do to that one, we're just going to change that to, where is it? To this. Copy, so change that to that. And then the next thing is admin, mine is password. And then for password, click on store in vault. Password is what? Testing 1 2 3. Okay. So I'm gonna click on OK, and now I'm gonna click on test connection, and then as you can see, successfully made the MySQL connection. So I'm gonna click on OK. Click on OK. All right. Now I'm gonna double click to open the connection. And then for this application, if we go back, where did I put it for all of you? So I think it's in here. RDS commands, Node Soccer App SQL command. So this one. All right. So if you open that, if you open that, you have something like this. So just copy that, and then just paste. Okay, and then go ahead and execute. Okay, so now the database has been created. The table soccer is also created. And don't worry if you don't know SQL, all right? I also there's also an SQL video that I recommend for all of you to watch. So I'll put that as part of the list in somewhere in this video. I know the last video I said I was gonna post the links. Maybe I'll just do it after in this demo section. So if you look in this demo section, you should see the links, to the GitHub, and Terraform and all those additional videos I encourage you to watch. All right, so SQL again, don't worry, you've seen me do this before, right? If you don't know about SQL, it's fine, but again, I highly recommend you watch a YouTube video, and I do have a recommendation that I'll share with you all. Find some time to watch that SQL video and be able to mention on your resume as well that you have basic understanding of SQL. Okay, you're not going to sell yourself as a database administrator, right? No. All right, so that's that. So we can actually no, let's minimize, and then the next thing I want to do now is, let me go back here. Let's now go to App Runner. Okay, let's now go to App Runner and create, so type App Runner and use App Runner to host the code. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on create an App Runner service. Okay, here what we want to do is choose source code repository. Okay, and then choose add new. Move my video. All right, so you all will probably get this screen. AWS connector for GitHub by Amazon Web Services would like permission to verify your GitHub identity, know which resources you can access. So just go ahead and click on authorize AWS connector for GitHub. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on that, authorize. If your browser does not redirect you back, please click here. So you're being redirected to the authorized application. Okay, so for you all, let me just give it a few more seconds and see if it's going to work. I'm thinking maybe there's a pop-up blocker that's blocking mine. Okay, never mind. Request timed out. So mine did not really work there. Let me close this and try again. So click on add new. And so just to make sure we all know what we're doing here, here's a description. App Runner deploys your source code by installing an app called AWS Connector for GitHub in your account. You can install this app in your main GitHub account or in a GitHub organization. All right, so let's go ahead and click on add new again. So again, for some of you, okay, never mind. Now it's working for me. So if it worked for you, if you didn't see that timeout error message that I got when I first did it, and you're on this screen, so that's fine. So let's call this connection name Node App Connection. And then it says here, choose from locations where a GitHub app is already installed. We probably don't have anything, so we're just gonna say install another. Okay, now let's see what that does. All right, so now it's asking us, since AWS App Runner wants to read the repositories in our account, do we want it to be able to read all the repositories, like all the source code for every application that we're hosting our GitHub account, or do we want it to only be able to read one repository, right? So one specific application. I don't know. It depends on the environment you find yourself. It could be that you want, this AWS connector for GitHub to be able to read all of your repositories or just one specific one. That really depends on your use case. But in our case, we can just do one, right? So only select repositories, and then let's click on select repositories and then choose that one for this app that we're testing with. Okay, So just go ahead and select that. And then I think that's pretty much it. So with these permissions, they'll be able to read access to issues, members, and metadata, read and write as the admission code, commit, status, and all right. So that's fine. So go ahead and click on install. Okay. Now, yeah, because I have, don't worry about this. I have MFA on my GitHub account, so this is good. If you have some time, set up MFA for your GitHub account as well. So you're not only using your email and password to log in, you can also use your phone, right? Which is always recommended if you have that option. If you want to know how to do that, of course you already know what to do. Just Google or find a YouTube video that shows you how to set up MFA for GitHub. Okay, so let me look for my code here, GitHub, and enter my code. Okay. All right, so now good. So now remember there was nothing here. Now I have YesCertified. So let me go ahead and click on next now. And that's it. Okay, so what branch? Remember we talked about main branch and feature branch. So this is the main branch. The main branch means if something is in this app runner is going to pull code from like the main branch, meaning this is the branch that has been approved by the senior developer. So remember there's that main branch which developers can like, do what we call a pull request from. Right, so do a pull request from the main branch, make whatever to their own laptop, right? Make whatever changes they want to make to the code, add new features, and then they're going to try to submit it back, right? So before they submit it back and before it's added back into the main branch, a senior developer will check the code and make sure, right, there's no vulnerabilities or anything like that, or they might do some automated type of scans to check that new code that the developer is adding, right? It's trying to add into the main branch. To make sure that everything is good before they submit it to the member, because the main branch, remember, is like that is the working code. That is what you want to deploy. It's not like a testing code or anything like that. It's like the production code that your end users are gonna use at the end of the day. So so for us, we don't have any like feature branches like that, right? That we're testing with. We're just gonna work directly with the main branch. So we're gonna leave it as main. So deployment trigger. Start a deployment yourself using the App Runner console or AWS. So we're going to leave it as automatic push. So every push to this branch deploys a new version of your service. So yes. So we're going to leave it as automatic. So if there's any change to that main branch, all right, App Runner will know, right? Because now we've set up a connection whereby they talk to each other, and it can know if there's any new commit to your main branch. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on next after that. What else? So configure all settings here. So runtime, we're gonna choose Node.js 16. Okay. So build command, this command runs in the root directory of the repository when your code is deployed. Use it to install dependencies or compile your code. So this command, what we're going to use here is npm install. Okay, we're going to use npm install here. And then the start command, how does your app start? Is going to be npm run start, like that. Okay. So if you don't know too much about deploying Node.js applications, don't worry too much about it. Okay. Just know that for us here, for build command, we're going to use npm install, and this is pretty much how we start the app. When we did this with EC2, I think we did Node server.js or something like that. I can't remember. But it's just a way for you to say, I want to start the application. Okay, the application. So this is how we're telling App Runner that we want to start the application. And this one is used to install dependencies, right? Other tools that the application needs to function properly. So npm install is the command. And to actually start the application, we're going to do npm run start. And for the port, this is not going to be 8080. Okay, on what port is this Node application listening on? Port 5000. Okay, if you look at our code, let me see if I can just show you something real quick here, everybody. If you open this, if we open the Node MySQL code, for example, this one, right? Let me open that with VS Code. This application listens on port 5000, right? So if you can see here, it listens on port 5000. Okay, so that's why we have to put for port 5000 there. So leave this as 5000 and click on next. Okay, service name, let's just call it Node App. All right, a virtual CPU, virtual, that's fine, that's fine. Actually, before I forget, and some of you may decide to pause this demo at this point, I don't recommend, but here's the thing, App Runner does not have free tier. So before I complete this demo, I wanted you all to know that, so in case some of you want to cancel, but at least it should not cost up to, I don't know, $1 or $2 for running this, because we're just gonna run it, test it in a browser, and turn it off and delete it. Okay, so it shouldn't cost much at all. So if you still want to continue with this, then that's fine. Otherwise, if you want to just continue just watching me do it, that's fine as well. I can understand. I know many of you are watching my videos from like different parts of the world. If you're not able to afford it now and then you want to come back to it later, that's fine. But just know that this App Runner does not have a free tier. Okay, App Runner does not have a free tier. So everything else, I think we're just going to leave as default. Okay. So here's what where I was talking about. Select if you want to use a VPC. Okay, your service can send out of your choice. Your service can send outgoing messages to any endpoint, public or private. But again, you know, we are leaving things as public in our case. Auto scaling, minimum instance size 1, maximum instance size that is going to create for our application 125. We're going to leave, so just in essence, let's just leave everything else as default. Okay, let's leave everything else as default. Maybe increase this because I don't know, it might need some time. Amount of time the load balancer waits for the health check. Let's put 20 here and 20 here. Must be greater than timeout. So what if we add 21? Okay. Healthy threshold, unhealthy, maybe let's do that as 3. Healthy threshold, let's do that as 3. So number of consecutive successful health checks that determine an instance is healthy. So whatever instance App Runner is creating to host this application, let it test it at least 3 times. Okay, and then also let it test it 5 times before it determines that it's unhealthy. Okay, so select an area option that allows your service code calls. Rule is, I don't know if it's, so let's just leave that empty. If it doesn't work, I don't remember adding this when I ran this before, but let's see. Observability, we're not going to do that. So let's go ahead and click on next and see. Okay, so now it's saying review and create. Okay. Yeah, let's just go ahead and run it. So create and deploy. Value 21 at health check failed to satisfy. Member must have value less than 20. Okay, so let's go to previous. Where was that? Was that health check? Amount of time between health checks of an individual instance. What about 19? And then here maybe 18. Okay. And then let's click on next. And then now let's try it again. Okay. All right, so let's wait for it. And we already have a DNS here, but of course we want to wait to make sure that, you know, the status is available, and then we can test the application and try to submit some information in the application and see if it works. All right, so I'm gonna pause and wait for that. Okay, so let's see if this application is going to work. I see running, which is kind of like a good sign, right? I don't see something that says failed. So let me just refresh. Okay, succeeded. All right, now let me copy. Well, we can just click on it it'll open in a new tab. When you see this sign right here, it usually means the link that you're clicking on will open in a new tab. So let's open in a new tab and see if it worked, guys. All right. The app just loaded. No players found. Go here to add players. So how about we try to add a player? Can you talk to our database? So let's add a name and see if it will appear in our database. So let's say Mukhtar Kabir, username MKMK, number 1. Let me just number 5 this time around. Choose position, striker. Let me see. Do I have an image here? Downloads. I don't have an image. Let me see if I can find an image real quick because I want to add an image as well. Okay, so I just quickly went to find me an image. I'm gonna use this image now. Okay, now let me click on browse, and then download, and then this image and open. So just find whatever image you can find and also try to add an image, and let's click on add player, and it's working, guys. We didn't have to create an EC2 instance. We didn't have to create load balancer, auto scaling, all of that. It's taking care of all of that for us. So congratulations if you got this to work. You just hosted a Node.js application with App Runner. Okay. All right. So well, let's use MySQL Workbench, right? Let's see now. So if we run this last command here, which means show us everything in the players table. So let's put a semicolon. Make sure you add a semicolon at the end there, and then click on this one to say you want to execute the statement under the keyboard cursor. Okay, this blinking, anything in this line right here, execute it. So let's click on this right here and see what we have. Very good, it worked. So username, don't worry, this ID is automatically added. Okay, so first name Mukhtar, we entered Mukhtar. Last name we entered Kabir. We chose the position of striker. We put the number 5, right? And then here is putting a link to the image. Okay, it doesn't actually store the image in the database. If you understand how web application development works, right? And then we have the username we also entered when we submitted that form. So MKMK. So that's it, guys. Congratulations. You can delete this connection now. Okay, just use the X to close that tab. You can delete this connection. So delete all connections. Delete. All right, so that's for MySQL Workbench. You can close that out. Now let's go and delete the application. I can close this tab. What else? So let's go now and click on App Runner here, and then select the application. Okay, now I want to click Actions, Delete, and then let's delete the application. Let us delete the application. All right, so that's pretty much it. It should go ahead and delete whatever it created for our application. Congratulations, guys. And hope this was fun, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks and bye for now.